Something massive just happened at the Supreme Court level, and if you own a gun in America, your life may have already changed and you might not even know it yet. This ruling affects over 65 million gun owners right now, and every single second you're not watching this, you're falling further behind on something that directly affects your rights, your safety, and your freedom. In a courtroom, that is not going to be you. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell icon so you get notified the moment the next update drops, because things are moving fast and the next development on this could come any day. Here is what you're going to learn by the end of this video. You are going to understand exactly what the Supreme Court just decided and what it means for gun owners in every single state. You're going to know which specific actions are now affected and which common habits millions of gun owners have could now put them in legal danger. You're going to get real practical steps you can take starting today to protect yourself. By the time this video ends, you will understand this better than most gun owners in America. So let us start from the beginning and talk about how we even got here, because this did not happen overnight. Picture this. For decades, gun laws in America have been a patchwork. Every state has done its own thing. Some states have been very relaxed. Some states have been very strict. And gun owners who travel, who move between states, who carry for self-defense, have always had to navigate this complicated web of rules that often contradict each other. It was messy, it was confusing, and for a long time, the courts kind of let it stay that way. Here's what happened, though. Over the past few years, there has been a massive legal battle happening quietly in the background. Gun rights groups have been pushing back hard against state-level restrictions that they argued went too far. And the Supreme Court, which has shifted in its composition over time, started signaling that it was willing to take a closer look at those restrictions. Then came a series of rulings that changed the game. The most significant of those was the Bruen decision back in 2022, which said that any gun law in America has to be rooted in the historical tradition of firearm regulation going back to the founding of this country. That was a huge deal. Think about it this way. Before Bruen, courts used a balancing test. They weighed the government interest against your gun rights. After Bruen, the government now has to prove that any restriction they want to keep on the books actually matches something from American history in the 1700s and 1800s that completely flipped the script. Now, fast forward to today, building directly on that foundation, the Supreme Court has taken this even further. States that had broad bans on certain firearm features, certain carrying restrictions, and certain categories of people being barred from ownership are now facing serious constitutional challenges, and the court's latest action has sent a shockwave through legislators in every state because the message is clear. The old way of writing gun laws no longer flies. And that affects you whether you live in Texas or California, whether you carry daily or keep a gun at home for protection. Before I keep going, I want to stop and ask you something directly. What state are you in right now? And does your state have strict gun laws, or is it one of the more relaxed ones? Drop your state in the comments right now. I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know how this ruling is landing where you live and how it personally affects your situation. Your comment might even help someone else reading through the section who lives in the same state as you. Now let us get into the actual core of what the court decided and break it down in plain language, because the legal documents are dense and confusing on purpose. Here's the simple version. The court essentially ruled that blanket prohibitions on an entire class of commonly owned firearms or accessories cannot stand unless the government can show a clear historical parallel from the founding era. In simple words, if millions of Americans already own it, the government has a very hard time banning it. Now, the ruling also addressed the issue of who gets restricted. There have been laws on the books that removed gun rights from people who were never convicted of a violent crime, people with old nonviolent felonies, people flagged in certain civil proceedings. The court said those broad strokes are constitutionally suspect. What that means for you is that if you were previously told you could not own a firearm due to a nonviolent legal issue, you may now have grounds to revisit that determination with a lawyer. The court also pushed back hard on states that have created what legal experts call sensitive place designations. States like New York and New Jersey had used that concept very broadly to essentially say you cannot carry almost anywhere in public. The court said that is too far. Think of it like this. Saying you cannot bring a gun into a courthouse or a school is one thing. Saying you cannot bring a gun into almost any building in any city is a completely different thing, and the court is no longer allowing that. There's also a component of this ruling that deals with permit requirements. Several states require permits to even purchase a handgun on top of the federal background check. The court's reasoning puts serious pressure on those laws because the historical record does not support that kind of layered pre-approval system. In simple words, if you have to jump through 5 government hoops just to buy a legal gun, that system may now be on borrowed time. And finally, there's the magazine capacity issue. Several states banned magazines over a certain number of rounds. The court's historical test tears those laws apart because there is simply no founding era equivalent to a magazine capacity limit. What that means for you is that legal fights over those laws are already underway in multiple states, and some of those bans may fall. Now let us talk about what this actually looks like for real people. Because laws on paper are one thing, but real life is another. Take a 45-year-old truck driver named Marcus. Marcus drives routes through 5 different states every week. He has a concealed carry permit from his home state, but 2 of the states he drives through had very restrictive carry laws. He had always worried about what to do in an emergency when crossing those state lines. With this ruling challenging those state restrictions, Marcus is watching closely because his daily safety on long, lonely highway stretches is directly tied to whether he can legally protect himself in every state he passes through. Then there's a single mom named Sarah who lives in a state that had banned a semi-automatic rifle she legally purchased for home defense 5 years ago. Sarah is not a gun enthusiast. She is just a mom who lives alone with 2 kids in a rural area where police response time can be 30 minutes or more. The state told her the rifle she bought legally was now prohibited and she had to surrender it or face charges. This ruling reopens that fight for Sarah and for thousands of people just like her who bought something legal and were told after the fact that it was suddenly not. And then there was a retired veteran named James. James served 20 years. He has no criminal record. But a decade ago, during a difficult divorce, he was subject to a civil restraining order that was later dismissed. Under existing federal law, that old dismissed order had been used to flag him and restrict his ability to purchase a new firearm. James never hurt anyone. The order was never proven in criminal court. The court's new framework directly challenges whether that kind of civil record can be permanently used to strip someone of a constitutional right. For James, this is not just about a gun. It is about his dignity and his rights as a veteran. Right now, somewhere in America, there's a gun owner who has absolutely no idea about what I just walked you through. They are going to get stopped by police in the wrong state. They are going to carry the wrong magazine. They are going to surrender a firearm they did not have to surrender, and they are going to wish desperately that someone had told them. You can be that person for them. Share this video with just one gun owner. Not 10 people, just one. Text it to them, send it on Facebook, drop it in a group chat. That one share could protect someone from a very serious legal situation. That is all I am asking. Now let us talk about the myths, because there is a lot of bad information floating around, and some of it can genuinely get you arrested or cost you your rights permanently. A lot of people think that because the Supreme Court ruled in favor of gun rights, all gun laws everywhere are now basically void and they can do whatever they want. That is completely wrong, and it is dangerous thinking. The ruling does not erase all gun laws. It sets a new legal test that laws must pass. Until a specific law in your specific state is challenged in court and struck down, it is still the law. Treating it as gone before a court says so can get you arrested, charged, and convicted. Do not assume. Verify. One of the biggest mistakes gun owners make is thinking that a concealed carry permit from their home state automatically works everywhere now because of these rulings. That is not how reciprocity works. And this ruling did not create a national carry permit. Every state still controls whether it recognizes your permit. Some do not. If you cross a state line with a firearm and you have not confirmed that state recognizes your permit, you're taking a serious legal risk regardless of what the Supreme Court said. Always check before you travel. Here's something that could actually get you arrested. A lot of gun owners have heard that certain accessory bans and magazine bans are being challenged, and they assume that means those items are now legal to own. Everywhere. They are not yet. A legal challenge being filed is not the same as a law being struck down. Until a federal court issues an injunction or a final ruling specifically about your state, that state law is still enforceable. People have been arrested and prosecuted for possessing items that were actively being challenged in court at the time. The challenge does not protect you. The final ruling does. Now here is what you need to do right now, starting today. First, go look up the specific gun laws in your state. I know it sounds basic, but most gun owners have not actually read them. Search for your state name plus current firearm laws 2025. Write down the rules about carry permits, magazine limits, and banned features. Second, if you carry a firearm across state lines for any reason, download the USCCA Reciprocity Map app or visit their website. Look up every state you drive through. Do not guess. Third, if you have an old civil legal issue, a restraining order that was dismissed, a non-violent conviction from years ago, call a gun rights attorney in your state and ask them to review your specific situation in light of these new rulings. Many offer free consultations. If a police officer ever asks you whether you are carrying a firearm, say these exact words calmly and without panic. Yes, officer, I have a legally owned firearm. I have my permit right here. How would you like me to proceed? Do not reach. Do not explain yourself. Do not argue the Supreme Court ruling on the side of a road. Stay calm. Say those words. Let them lead from there. By the way, this Supreme Court ruling is not the only legal change that has happened recently affecting gun owners. There are 4 other significant updates that have gone into effect or are working through the courts right now that every gun owner in America should know about. I already made a complete video breaking all 4 of them down one by one in plain language just like this. That video is on this channel right now. After this video ends, go find it. I promise you it covers things that will genuinely surprise you. The landscape is changing faster than most people realize. That video will catch you all the way up. Uncommonly owned firearms, accessories, and magazine capacities are now facing serious legal challenges in multiple states. Number 3, restrictions on people with non-violent or civil legal histories are being reconsidered under this new legal framework. Number 4, sensitive place designations that effectively banned carry almost everywhere in a state have been challenged, and many are expected to fall. Number 5, no existing state law is automatically removed by this ruling, and you must follow your state's laws until a court specifically strikes them down. Your rights mean nothing if you do not know them, and they can be taken from you quickly if you do not protect them with knowledge. If this video helped you understand something that nobody else had explained clearly, then please do 3 things right now. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss a critical update like this one. Drop your state in the comments along with what you think about this ruling because I want to hear from you directly, and your voice matters in this conversation. And share this video with at least one gun owner in your life who needs to hear this today. This information should not be hard to find, but it is, and you can change that for someone you care about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about your rights. Stay safe. Stay legal.